Okay, so let's see, what problem? I mean, I can combine it with the random block one, I guess, so we can talk a little bit about that. So we've got a random block. Block's got a mass. Let's give the ramp a length L and an angle theta. So be a little bit careful. Like, I don't necessarily know which of these things I'm going to be using in the problem. All I know is that like random block problems have these things. I don't give you excess information on the exam, but because I'm making crap up right now, I might accidentally do it. So just be a little aware of that. This thing's going to have friction. So let's say coefficients of friction. Mu k and us. So it has both static and kinetic friction. Yeah, okay. So let's say, and sorry, let's be a little bit more careful. Let's say that the block slides down the ramp a distance L. So the ramp is some kind of crazy length, but the distance that mass is going to slide down is L. So while the ramp is sliding, while the block is sliding, how much work is done by gravity and friction? That might be like part A and part B. How much work is done by gravity, how much work is done by friction? And actually, let me do that, right? Let's just do how much work is done by gravity, question mark, B, blah, 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 done by friction. And then as the last one, let's do like, what's the speed at the bottom? Okay. So the blue is actually kind of worse, right? Okay, so I'm asking how much work is done by gravity. So we need to know the work formula. So for A, the work formula is F dot delta R. So remember, like, yeah, there is this kind of work where if the force depends on the distance traveled, you might have to use the integral form of work. But I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to sit here and give you like an insane force you have to integrate on the exam. It's not really my interest to test how good you are at calculus. Is it possible that I make you do this in one multiple choice question? Yes, that's possible. If you did a Socratic like that, you might have to be responsible for that. But I won't do it on this sort of like multi-part fill-in-the-blank kind of question because this is hard, right? So here, the force is constant, right? The force due to gravity is constant. So we can use this formula. We usually write this as F delta R cosine theta, where again, that angle is the angle between F and delta R. So in order to calculate the work due to gravity, we want to plug into that formula Fg times the distance traveled times the cosine of the angle between Fg and delta R. So now all we have to do really, so Fg we know, that's m times g. So delta R is L, actually we know that's how far the block travels. So all we really have to do to calculate the work is the cosine of the angle between them. So that's again just moving around the vectors to make sure we do the right thing. So gravity is straight down in the block. The distance is L, it's right there. Now, sorry, I should be a little careful. I'm going to label this as theta g, just to make it clear that it's not the same theta as that. That theta g is that angle. The angle between L and Fg. It's pretty easy to figure out what angle that is. This thing makes a triangle, right? So theta g is 90 minus whatever theta is. So then the work due to gravity is pretty easy. It's mg times L times cosine of 90 minus theta. So that's it for the work due to gravity. Second part, work done by friction, okay? Same formula, right? Just work of friction is force of friction times the distance traveled times cosine The theta, and again, I'm going to write theta f. That's like kind of a stupid way of labeling it, but I mean that whatever angle has to go into that formula, I'm calling theta f, right? Okay, cool. So the problem here is moving the same distance, so we know what delta r is. That's going to be L. But we don't know what the force of friction is. So that's a big part of what happened on the ramp problem in the last exam, or exam 2. No, this is the last one. Is that people have trouble finding the force of friction correctly. So let's work on that. We have to decide if we're going to find the force of static friction or the force of kinetic friction. I don't think there's a problem with this. Static is if the thing is not moving. Kinetic is if it is moving. This thing is definitely moving. I'm telling you it's moving. So we're going to use kinetic friction. So fortunately, the formula for the force of friction is actually pretty simple. It's especially for kinetic friction. It's mu k Fn. So remember, the static friction has a greater than less than sign here. It makes it slightly more complicated. But luckily, kinetic friction is easy. It's just whatever the coefficient is times normal. Cool. But the trick is, and what a lot of people did, is they just put in mg for the normal force, right? That's true if I'm standing on the ground and we're on a flat surface. But it's not true for something that's on a ramp. For something that's on a ramp, you have to solve Newton's second law to figure out what the normal force is. Specifically, you have to solve Newton's second law in the y direction. That's what we want line here. So when I say that the sum of all the forces in the y direction is 0, I'm putting the coordinate system in this picture. The coordinate system is right here. X, y. When I'm saying this block is moving only along the x direction, it's not accelerating the y direction. So the acceleration in the y direction is 0. That's why the sum of the forces is 0. This should be ma by negative 0. Okay, so in this little picture, what forces are acting? I guess I'll read right over here to make it a little bit more clear. So there's a normal force like that. There's a gravitational force like that. There's a frictional force. It's opposing the motion. The motion is going down the ramp. The frictional force is going up the ramp. And that's it. Okay? So when I ask how many forces are in the y direction, clearly the normal force is in the y direction. So I'm just write Fn. It's positive. But then the gravitational force is also acting in the y direction. Of course, not the complete gravitational force, only a component of the gravitational force. The component is right here. Y. So whatever component that is what I have to put into my Newton's second law formula. How can I find out what that angle is? The way I think I would do this is I would draw that triangle. That's a representation of the actual ring with an angle theta right there. Right? That's the exact same picture that was. So that means that this angle right here is 90 minus theta, and that angle is 90 minus theta. That one's also a 90-degree angle, so that's why that one's there. Okay, cool. So now we should be able to say what the component of gravity along the y direction is. It's fg cosine theta, right? It's the adjacent of that angle. So I'm going to write minus mg cosine theta equals 0. That tells me that the normal force is mg cosine theta. So people are probably in two different camps, right? You probably saw that ramp and went, oh, the normal force is obviously mg cosine theta. I didn't need to do this at all. I guess that's fine, right? Just don't screw it up, right? If I give you the other angle, if I give you this angle instead of that angle, it's mg sine theta, right? So it probably makes sense to go through this process. But of course, the number one important thing is just don't write mg as Fn, because that is just like, whoosh, I gotta give you 0 points. So, I'm gonna put that into here, I'm gonna put that into there, and that's gonna tell me what the work is. So, mu k mg cosine theta. That's the force of friction. L is the distance traveled. And then I have to figure out what this angle is too, right? This is a totally separate angle I haven't talked about. So it's the angle between the force of friction and the distance traveled. Distance traveled is L, it's right there. The force of friction opposes the motion, it's right there. So the angle between L and F of F is 180, right? From here to there is 180 degrees. The cosine of 180 degrees is minus 1. So this is just times minus 1. So that will work in expression. Minus UK mg cosine theta times that. So that's the answer for part B. This made no problem. Gravity's right there. Okay, so that's sort of like any word problem will probably be set up kind of like that. I also threw in what's the speed at the bottom. That's sort of what attaches to this work energy and force thing. It's a whole sort of big concept. So the idea now is that we need to take something about the works and turn that into something about motion. Because we need the speed, right? If we want to find the speed, we need to connect these kind of work energy things to speed. The way that works is with the work energy theory. The change in the kinetic energy is equal to the total work done. When I write this, I mean net work. Net being the sum of all the works. In this problem, there's two things acting on the block, two sources of work. So this will be work of gravity plus the work due to friction. Changing K, that's just the change in kinetic energy, 1/2 mv squared. So 1/2 mv f squared minus 1/2 mv I squared. And I mean, I'm just going to leave it as wg plus wf. That's because I don't have the numbers, right? These are just formula. But when you calculate these things, there'll be numbers and they'll easily be put in. And then I have to tell you, like, starts at rest. Starts at rest. So that means that this guy goes away, but then I can just write, I mean, this is just 1/2 mv f squared because the sum of the works. So I'm going to multiply times 2 divided by m to wg plus wf over m. So the final speed is the square root of 2 wg plus like that. So is that enough? Most of these will basically be set up this way. Like, no matter what the physical situation is, it'll be like find the work due to some forces. The forces might include gravity, friction, could be springs, could be anything really, and usually it includes some kind of motion. What's the speed of the bottom? Is the most reasonable thing that I can ask. What else? So I'll do one on circular motion. Anybody have like any particular one they remember it being confusing I can do, or I can just make it up? Yeah.
So you're gonna be into like elevator problems on the phone?
Totally.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. Let's do a circular motion first, then we can do an elevator one.
Yeah.
Okay. Stop. Start. I mean, I don't know there'll be an elevator problem, but it's certainly